See. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Sapir Chirk. I am the artist specialist for the Nevada Arts Council, and we're here to talk about our brand new FY27 Professional and Workforce Development Grant for Artists. I have two colleagues here that have joined me. If y'all like to come on and say hi, that'd be great.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stefan Reed. I'm Superior's colleague and counterpart up in Northern Nevada with the Artist Services Program.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Montgomery, Grants and Project Analyst in the Reno office up north.
Thanks, everyone. So just a reminder that this webinar is being recorded and will be shared on YouTube later. So if you have any questions that you don't want to be recorded, feel free to send us an email. But if you don't mind, you're more than welcome to use the Q&A function to submit your question or in the webinar chat. Or just raise your hand at the end when we go to our question and answer portion. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. This is our brand new website, as you can see, how to navigate to the grants page. So once you reach nvartcouncil.org, you're going to click on the little sandwich bar, going to go down to grants, and you're going to click the current year for the grant that you want to apply for. So I know we're in 26 right now, but we already started accepting application for FY27. So you're going to click on FY27 grant offerings. You're going to scroll down to our open and upcoming grants. And this is the list of all the grants that you can apply for this fiscal year. So at the end here is our professional workforce development grant for artists. There's also a ton of resources on our website as well. So make sure you're looking around and seeing what's available to you. We're going to go ahead and click on guidelines. And that will take you to the page that is specifically for a professional and workforce development grant for this fiscal year. So again, this is an artist grant, so keep that in mind. The application is currently open. It opened the beginning of this month. And the deadline is at least 30 days before the proposed project while funds remain available. So this is a first come, first serve grant. If you already have a opportunity in mind, I would suggest that you complete the application as soon as you're able. The grant amount is up to $2,000 with no match required. And the eligibility snapshot is that you have to be an individual, a Nevada resident of at least a year. You need to be 21 years old and not a student within the same discipline you're applying for this grant for. And we can go over that in a little bit if you like. Okay, so the staff contact is both Stefan and I. Our email and phone number are listed here. You're welcome to send both of us an email and all the grants team or give us a call, whichever way is more comfortable for you if you have any question about this grant. So how the program works. The Professional and Workforce Development Grant, PDG, from the Nevada Arts Council assists Nevada artists with funding support for participation in professional development and skill building activities that contribute to significant professional and career growth in the arts. Eligible opportunity includes conferences, workshop, classes, artist residencies, and seminars. The PDG, the Professional Development Grant, funds cover only the following costs related to the proposed activity. So things like registration fee, travel, and lodging. To offer flexibility and expedite funding, PDG will be allocated on a first-come, first-served basis and awarded through reimbursement. Grants funds are limited, so early submission is encouraged. Applicant must apply for the PDG at least 30 days before the event. To receive PDG reimbursement grant funding, applicant must complete a claim request online and submit all required receipts within 45 days of event completion on June 30th, 2027, whichever is first. So let me just go over that a little bit. I know I read a lot. Hi, everyone. If you all just joined, my name is Sapira. This webinar will be recorded. If you have any question that you don't mind being recorded, you can type them into the Q&A. or the webinar chat, or you can wait until the end when we have question and answer. So yeah, let's go over this a little bit. So this grant is only, you can request only up to $2,000 for specific workshop, conferences, artist residency, classes, and seminars. So this needs to be a specific learning opportunity for you as an artist to attend. And it's only going to cover your registration or workshop class fees, the travel to a workshop if it's out of state or out of your area, and lodging. So it doesn't cover things like supplies, food or beverage that if it's a 3-day residency, we don't cover that. So keep that in mind when you're requesting funding. So how this grant work is, it's gonna just be open and you can submit if you have like, oh, I want to go do this workshop, we're gonna you can put in the application and you have all the information. I'll go over the application in a little bit too. You're going to submit your application and then you received either a acceptance or a decline from us, right? Saying yes, this is approved for funding, and you can go ahead and take that class. And then after you completed the class, that means you have to pay for the class first. And then you're going to submit your receipts to us in order for us to reimburse you for that class. So let's say you're taking a class in California and you need to travel for it, right? You bought your flight, you paid for the class fee, you have your hotel. You need to save all that information for the money that you paid for and that you've requested through us. So once we've approved it, you attend the class, you have all your receipts. After your class finished, you've taken that class and you've done the travel, you're going to submit those receipts to us for us to reimburse you. So that's kind of how this grant is going to work. If you have any questions, feel free to type it into the Q&A. Yeah, and just to remind you, you need to submit that request at least 30 days before the event. So, if you are waiting, if this is not something you are able to fund yourself, you maybe want to see if we are able to fund it before you commit, right? We won't know until you actually turn in the application. And it will take us a little bit of time for us to go through it, approve it, to make sure that we have funding available for you for this specific opportunity. All right, so if you have any questions, again, send us an email or type it into Q&A. Okay, applicant eligibility. So you must meet this at the time of the application, okay? So you must be a current Nevada resident and have been in residence for at least a year prior to the date of your grant application. Must be a practicing artist or creative. And there are some artistic practice that we cannot fund, specifically documentary film. So if that is your discipline, unfortunately, we won't be able to fund your professional development opportunity through this grant. You have to be a U.S. citizen or have legal permanent resident status. You must be 21 years old and must not enroll as a degree-seeking student in a field related to type of grant which you are applying. So if you are an MFA student in music, let's say, and you want to attend a residency and you're requesting funding from us for that residency, we won't be able to fund you. It cannot be part of any degree-seeking period but you can apply for it after you've graduated, after you receive your degree, and if you still want to complete that residency, you may submit a request for funding through this grant. So this grant amount is up to $2,000, no match required, and again, it's a reimbursement grant. And we only have a limited amount of funding for this particular grant. So if you come and requested a little bit earlier, it's probably a good idea. Again, you make sure you want to keep your receipts and documentation of expense, because if you don't provide us that, we won't be able to reimburse you. So make sure you're keeping that records, okay? So funds may be used for relevant professional development expenses, include registration fees and travel. So if you want to attend one of our conferences, such as our intersection conference or our Basin Terrain Exchange, this will not be an avenue where you can request funding for our specific professional development. But you may be able to request travel funding to one of our conferences, and we can answer your questions if you send us an email to. If you have any questions, whether like this specific opportunity, we're able to fund you, and just send us an email. Okay, and you can only receive up to one professional development grant per fiscal year. Okay. So, in addition to the general funding restriction in the current grant and award policy, you should probably read that if you are interested in any of our grants, just so you're aware of what we are able to do and what we're not allowed to do. And you want to make sure you're following our policy so you don't get on our naughty list. So, make sure you do read that if you are considering, okay? So, grant funding may not be used for expenses outside the grant period. So, this grant is open for FY27. That starts in July 1st of 26 until June 30th of 2027. So anything that is outside of that grant funding, we might not be able to fund. So let's say you're returning, maybe your opportunity is the end of June and your return flight is outside of this fiscal year, we may not be able to pay for that return flight. Expense reimbursed or covered by other sources such as employer or host organization. Let's say you are attending a conference and maybe you teach at a community college and your community college actually pay for the registration fee or pay for that travel. If that is so, you can't double dip. Or maybe you got a scholarship to attend the conference, you won't be able to request that from us. So we need to see the receipt that you actually paid for something. Travel outside of the US, Canada, and Mexico, we're not able to fund. So if you have an international residency or an international conference or workshop, we won't be able to fund those. Again, registration fee for Nevada Art Council sponsored events. Okay, so evaluation and scoring, how will we determine if your application is eligible for funding? So the Nevada Arts Council staff will review applications for eligibility, completeness, and adherence to the requirements below. Application that meets all eligibility and project requirements are awarded in the order in which they are received, while funds remain available. A record of the review process is maintained for all applications. Grants are contingent on available funding as approved by the Nevada Arts Council Board. Application will be evaluated based on the following criteria: that the artist provide evidence of an engaged artistic or creative practice. Development opportunity includes clear learning objective and achievable outcomes. Development opportunity relates to the applicant's artistic, business management, or technical development. So what does that mean? So you need to be an engaged artist. We need to see that you've been engaging in your practice for a specific or a period of time, and that you're very serious about your development and your growth, whatever that may be. And the development opportunity includes clear learning objective and achievable outcomes, meaning like you can't just be like, my aunt's going to teach me watercolor. Your aunt's never taught any watercolor before. She doesn't have a website. We don't know how she skills it. We need to see that the opportunity is it's valid and it has clear learning objective and will help you develop in your artistic career. And the development opportunity relates to applicant artistic, business management, or technical development. So this covers a lot of stuff. So if you're an artist that wants to get better at the marketing aspect of your art business, you can apply through this grant to maybe get better at your marketing. Maybe you need a marketing coach. Or maybe you're a sculptor, but you really want to learn the photography skill to photograph your sculptures. Like that isn't quite in your actual practice, but it relates to the business management or technical development part of your practice. So those are opportunities that you can also utilize this funding for. So, but it does need to relate to your artistic art practice, right? You can't be like, I don't know. I'm a painter and I want to take these swim lessons. That you need to tell us why that is relevant to your practice, right? So that's how we're going to evaluate and score your application. How do you apply for this opportunity? So you should review our grants and award policy, and you're going to complete the application online. So we also have some resources for you before I go and go into the application process. So you should have these things ready when you are going to apply. So we need an unexpired ID and proof of residency. Usually, if your driver's license you received a year ago has your name, your address, and it's current, it's not expired, that will prove your age and your residency, right? So we need evidence of an engaged artistic practice. That could look like a resume, an artist resume, or a CV, your website, your social media, things like that. Information about the professional development opportunity. So you can send us the conference website or the workshop description and course outline. You can have, and then you're going to have to write a few sentences about how this opportunity is going to help you develop as an artist. And we also need to know how much this is going to cost, right? So associated travel costs like your hotel, estimated mileage, your airplane booking, and of course, how much the conference or the opportunity is going to cost. There are additional resources for you if you want to review them. Yeah, so let's go ahead and click on the application. Okay, so once you click that link, it's going to take you to Submittable or Nevada Art Council Submittable page. And you're going to scroll down to define the application, sorry, the grant opportunity that you want to apply for. And we're looking for the FY27 Professional Workforce Development Grant for Artists. You can click down to see the guidelines that we already just went through. So you can go ahead and click apply. You will need to create a submittable account if you haven't already done so. So it might take you to a login page. You can log in or create an account. Make sure this is an account, an email that you're using that you check regularly to receive any updates or notice from us. So it'll have the same information as the information we just went through. And if you have any questions, we have our grant team contact here and our artist service specialist contact here. You can email any of us, all of us, it's up to you. The grants at nevadaculture.org email is definitely the one that someone will see. So if you are looking to contact us right away, make sure you're sending it to the grants email. So you're going to have to enter some basic information. So this particular grant is for individual artist applicant. If you're a collaborative artist group, this will not apply for you. Okay, so you're going to click, well, be honest when where you're selecting. So I'm an individual applicant artist. So have you read and understand the guidelines? I have read it. We just read it. So I'm going to click this button. I currently physically resides in Nevada and have continuous residence in Nevada since at least June 1st and can provide proof. That's correct because I have my unexpired Nevada driver license. I am a U.S. citizen or have legal permanent resident status. I am 21 years old and I am not enrolled as a degree seeking student in a field related to the type of grant which I am applying. And my professional development opportunity takes place in fiscal year 27. And I am applying for at least 30 days before my proposed professional development opportunity. So if you meet the above criteria, you may proceed to the application. Completion of this eligibility form does not guarantee that your application will proceed to panel review or be awarded funding. All applications are subject to further internal review to ensure eligibility. Okay, so we click next, and then we're gonna type in the actual application. We'll enter the information on the actual application. So you have your applicant legal name, your first and last name. And if you have an artist name or preferred name, you're welcome to enter that here. We will need your primary address and a secondary address if you have it. And then we'll need your phone number. And then your state of Nevada vendor number. So how do we pay you? We pay you through our state controller's office, and you will need a Nevada vendor number if you are awarded. So you don't have to have this right now, but if you do have it, it will expedite the process. So you can go ahead and sign up when you apply, but you don't need this number when you submit the application. But I would suggest that if you are looking for funding, to have this completed uh as soon as you're able, because it does take them a little bit of time to get your number. And you can register that through this link here. You're going to upload your proof of 21 years of age. So again, preferred method is your unexpired Nevada driver license or an ID or a passport. Those are fine. And then you're going to also provide proof of Nevada residency. You can again use your driver license. That would be just fine. You can upload the same thing. If the driver license was issued within 12 months, then you can upload your previous driver license or any official documents such as a utility bill, a pay stub, insurance, residential lease, originally signed and dated between 12 and 18 months ago. It needs to be not expired or lapsed with your name and physical residential Nevada address listed. So we can establish that you've lived in the state for at least 12 months. Okay, so this is the part about your opportunity, right? And how we're going to establish that you have an engaged, artistic, or creative practice. You're going to upload your resume or CV or bio. So we're going to look for artists must provide evidence of an engaged, artistic, or creative practice. We're looking for, participation in exhibition or performances, published books or article, professional website, ready for commercial or client engagement, recent commission or work of sales, art related to teaching or workshop facilitations, or collaboration or project, professional membership or affiliation, award grants or residency, consistency of activity over time. Let's say you're very, very young in your practice, but we do want to see like how long have you been painting? Maybe you've never shown your work before, but I've been painting for the last 15 years. We want to kind of see that you're really engaged and serious about your practice. You have a professional presentation of work. Maybe you don't exhibit, but you have a website and it's very professionally presented. We want to be able to see that you have a clear artistic identity and direction, and you're engaged with the art community. So it could be any one of these or a combination of them. It obviously doesn't have to be all of them, but we just need to see some kind of evidence that you are an engaged artist. Okay, and just FYI, journalism, historic or academic documentary film, and electronic media arts that do not demonstrate significant artistic emphasis, consideration, and distinction are not allowable grant funding requests. And yeah, so just keep that in mind. If you fall into journalism, historic or academic documentary film, and are writing electronic media arts, we are not allowed to fund those discipline. All right. In addition to your resume, CV, or bio, you can send us your either website or social media or like where you're showing your work online. Let's say your Artsy account or something, or Artsy page or something like that. You can share that here so we can establish that you're an engaged artist. So you're going to tell us a little bit more. The rest are like a little bit more about the professional development opportunity that you want to submit for. So we have the name of what is a professional development opportunity? Is it a conference? What is it? What is it called? Tell us the name of it. Is it a workshop? Who's hosting it? What is the website of the professional development opportunity? So we will need to see like, where is this hosted? Is it legitimate? Again, like your aunt is going to teach you watercolor. She's never painted in her whole life, right? So we need to establish that this is a legitimate opportunity that you're requesting federal and state funding for, right? Okay, so you're going to send us the website for that. And what is the exact date of the development opportunity? So this is really important because we can only approve funding for opportunity that happens between June July 1st of 26 to June 30th of 27. And what is the location of the professional development opportunity? Includes city and states. Again, we cannot fund anything that is outside of the US, Canada, and Mexico. Okay, and then you're going to tell us how much money you are requesting. You can request up to $2,000. And out of that maximum $2,000, you're going to let us know how you're planning to use that. I would suggest pricing out that information prior to submitting the application, especially if it includes travel. So if you're going to a conference, sometimes conference lodging is very pricey even if you're planning to stay within in that hotel. So you want to give us an accurate price for the lodging, the registration, the air travel, and all that stuff. Let's say like you think the lodging is going to cost you $100 a night, but it turns out to be $325, but you've only requested $100, then we are only able to reimburse you what you had maximally request. Maximally request. Yeah, the max that you've requested. That's what I meant to say. Okay, anyways, so here are the things that we are able to fund, right? Again, lodging, registration fee, air travel, mileage if you're driving a personal car, ground transportation, you have your rental car, ride share, taxis, buses, anything like that, your parking. And then you also have an other section, but primarily we're only able to fund these things. So if you have something that you're requesting funding for, such as supplies, we're not able to fund supplies if your workshop require you to purchase supplies. Well, maybe we're able to fund in the other sections, like I need to pay for a check bag. That's considered travel, and you can put that down here. And if you're not sure, go ahead and send us an email. We're happy to help. Okay. So it should total down here. Don't put any dollar signs in this table. Just put the number, and it will total down here to let us know that your request. And this number right here, total projected expenses, should match what you're requesting. All right. So once, if we approve your application and you have completed the training and you're asking for the reimbursement, make sure you keep your receipts. We need to actually see that you have documentation about how you spend this money so we're able to reimburse you. So make sure that you are saving them and submitting them in your final report so we can reimburse you. All right, moving on. Describe the learning objective and goals of this professional development opportunity. And then the next question is, what will you learn by attending this professional development opportunity, and how would it improve your artistic practice? So describing the learning objectives and outcome, it could be why, like, what are they advertising as the benefit of this workshop, conference, residency. It could be like, oh, it's a self-directed time to create, XYZ, or to learn XYZ. They should have some sort of general or very detailed information on that website that you can even copy and paste and put that here. But that should really come from the professional development opportunity. And then, so that's number 9. And then number 10 is like, what will you learn? These two are very similar questions, but we also want to hear from you. And because sometimes like, oh, it's a really specific business practice. Like I said, like, oh, I'm a sculptor, but I want to learn photography so I can take better photos of my sculpture. So you can tell us how this will improve your artistic practice in number 10. And then that's really the application. You're gonna do an electronic signature. I understand that if awarded, I must submit a claim request with all required receipts within 45 days of the event completion. So you're gonna check that box, and then you're gonna type out your name and email. And then you can submit the application, and that's it. It's a really short application. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions, or if any of if my team would like to jump on and add?
Hi, Sapira. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, thanks, Sapira. I just have a quick question. And maybe Steph, because the grants team usually takes care of all the business in the final report. Um, so I was just kind of curious, Steph, when they are finished with their activity, what they'll be receiving maybe as a notice or what they will have to reach out and contact the grants team uh, to finish up their final report.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So this grant is a little bit different than our other grants because it's a reimbursement grant. All of our other grants, if possible, we will pay you by advance payment. But because it's a reimbursement grant, that means that you will have to submit receipts in order to get paid. Since it's kind of a new thing, we haven't determined yet if we're going to have essentially a reimbursement form on its own and then a final report, or if we'll have them both together. But the idea is, I believe that we, have the application form that Sapir just went through with you all, that you kind of get approved, and that once you are done with your project activities, that you would use the reimbursement form to get reimbursed. And the final report would either be a part of that or would be released shortly thereafter, most likely after you got paid your funds, which is normally what we do with most of our grant programs. Once you get paid the funds, then we make the final report available to you because we want to make sure that you get paid before we require the final report. Does that help, Stefan?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I was kind of curious. Yeah, I didn't want to put you on the spot there because I know this is a new grant for us and we're
It's
rolling
new,
stuff
yeah.
out. I'm just kind of curious how that was going to end up on the tail end. Maybe that could help folks with what
Yeah,
they're thinking about.
that's our plan for this fiscal year, and we'll kind of reevaluate again. This is a new thing. We haven't had this kind of reimbursement style in recent years. And so we'll see how it goes this time. But that is our plan now. So I'm happy to answer any other questions about that. Um, and there is one thing I wanted to add as well. If your projects, I'm sorry, your professional development activities, I should say, are taking place in July. If you can't meet that 30-day in advance deadline, that's okay. Please go ahead and submit your application. Normally, we like to give you the 2 months in advance of, kind of looking at the application. And also, per our administrative code, we can't have anything due less than 3 months after we've had, the guidelines available. But because this is a way we had to kind of pivot at the last minute with this, we want to make sure that we're being fair to everyone. So just make sure that if you do have something going on in July for your professional development activities and you want to apply, if you're not able to submit it 30 days in advance, that's okay. So just keep that in mind. And likewise for August, just send us a quick message if you are, August and you can't make that 30-day in advance deadline. We may be able to make an exception again, since this was not in our original plan for FY27. We kind of had to pivot at a later date than we normally would. Normally, we would release these guidelines in the fall of the previous calendar.
I think okay, there we go. Sorry, the last part got cut out, Stephanie.
Oh, did it? Let's see. Yeah, I guess I don't know what you heard last in the transcript. It just says, and also just repeat it. Um, if your professional development activities are taking place in July or August and you are not able to apply 30 days in advance, go ahead and just submit it this one time as an exception, because we weren't able to make the guidelines available until a later date. Normally, we would do that in the calendar year prior, but we had to pivot at the last minute.
Thank you. I see a Q&A in that was submitted. Can one person submit For multiple opportunities, and if so, can they combine in one grant? If itemized, would the $2,000 cap be overall for one person per opportunity? I believe the guideline is one opportunity per person.
That is correct.
Or, if you have two
Per
opportunities,
fiscal year, yes.
yeah, and they're both $1,000, you can only apply for one. You cannot combine multiple opportunity into one grant and request the full amount. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sam.
No, that's correct.
Mhm. Yeah, so which one costs more? That's how I would approach.
Right.
All right. Any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand and I can allow you to talk.
And one of the things, Spirit, and you covered it really well in the application. The application is relatively simple. We've tried to keep it simple for you guys. This is a wonderful opportunity. There's not a lot of organizations that are using funds to be able to pay for travel for residencies, which is kind of a luxury for some folks to be able to go out there and do that. I know it's tough to get time to do residencies, but if you could try to be as succinct as possible in your applications, right? I mean, make sure that your goals align with your practice. Because if they don't, right, if there's something that pops up in the application that looks like things aren't aligning with what you're asking for, we'll definitely be reaching out with further questions to solidify and nail down the application to make sure it's aligned with what our guidelines are stating.
All right. I don't see any more questions. So we can go ahead and end early. Thanks everyone for joining us. And if you miss anything, this will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube. And again, feel free to reach out. We're always here. Thanks, everyone.
All right.